Daniel Bryan has officially, according to sources, his contract has officially ended with WWE, which means that his title match with Roman Reigns was very likely the last we'll see of him, at least for a while. He may re-sign, he may not. I know that Daniel Bryan has expressed quite a bit of passion and ideas when it comes to working in other companies and working against different talents. So everyone knows the news, so me and Carl thought we might as well just have a little natter and discuss where we'd like to see Daniel Bryan. Where do you think's his best landing spot from here once he's taken time off?
Everyone is going to say AEW
Yeah.
because, of course, they are. Now, don't get me wrong. Do I want to see, Bryan Danielson, the American Dragon, in Pac? I'd sell my left nut for like $4 for that.
Yes, only $4.
Oh, that's all I need to watch Bryan Danielson and Pac because
that's $4 you ever spent.
Oh, I mean, even just you say AEW, but he could also show up at Impact and still do AEW because of the whole forbidden door. Yuck! Kill yourselves.
Christ. Yeah, fair enough. But I'm so sick of that shit.
I think he could have some incredible matches in Impact too, though. To be fair,
Josh Alexander is the first one that comes to mind. Josh Alexander, open challenge for the X Division Championship. Out comes Bryan Danielson. The internet will spooge. And also, I think what's really important about this is that I hope he's not going to wait too long, because even someone with the stature, the kind of great presence that Daniel Bryan has, let's not act as if being on the WWE marquee doesn't elevate you and put a microscope on you, because it does. Whether you like WWE or not, you cannot deny that being in WWE means that as a wrestler, you are going to be seen tenfold more than you will, say, somewhere like Ring of Honor. Now, I'd love to see him go back to Ring of Honor and work some of the guys there. His matches, guys like Roosh and EC3 and things of that nature, he could really do something special with those guys. And also it's kind of a return to, the platform that really made him and brought him to mainstream notoriety in North America. But me personally, I'd like to see him in AEW, but not yet. If I did see him in AEW, like you said, the problem with AEW is, even though I want to see him wrestle some of their guys, people are going to be like, oh, you just hate AEW. No, I don't. But they've got a massive bloated roster. You can't find room for half of your roster right now without shoehorning them in. So why would you, in God's name, make that even worse by bringing in Daniel Bryan? I get that he's a big free agent, if he is indeed going to be a free agent. Me personally, I look at the companies and I think wherever he lands, he needs to know and needs to see that we need to see as well that he's going to have a multitude of world-class matchups. If he goes to Impact, like you say, he could wrestle Sami Callihan and have an incredible match. He could wrestle Eric Young and have a great match. He could wrestle Rich Swann and have a great match. He can wrestle Josh Alexander. Ace Austin.
Eddie Edwards, dude. That would be sick.
He might be able to drag the real wrestler back out of Eddie Edwards, because he has lent more towards the garbage kind of wrestling, which is fine, but it is what it is. There's a multitude of guys who I think would work really well there. He's the kind of guy who could get in the ring and he'd make everyone more credible, because he's that kind of guy. The reason he's one of the greatest wrestlers of the modern era and arguably of all time is because everybody he gets in the ring with comes out looking better for it. And the fact that he was willing to do what he did for Roman Reigns and help put him over even more on the way out speaks volumes about the guy Daniel Bryan is. And obviously he wanted Cesaro to kind of be the place. So now in retrospect, it feels like Cesaro has kind of been made his replacement in a way, hasn't he? It's like Cesaro is now the every guy, the great wrestler who can get a great match out of everybody. And best of luck to Cesaro, because he has deserved an opportunity, if nothing else, to prove himself in that format. But for me, Daniel Bryan in New Japan screams, I cannot express how many great matchups. Daniel Bryan versus Tomohiro Ishii. Daniel Bryan versus Okada. Daniel Bryan versus Will Ospreay. Daniel Bryan versus literally the entire NJPW roster. Zack Sabre Jr. We can finally have that match. Saucy. And I know people are going to say, yeah, well, we can still wrestle for AEW and work in those places. Yeah, but it just won't have the same impact and it won't be as good. What's the point of having him on AEW if he only turns up once in a blue moon, because he's spending most of his time in Japan having world-class matches, which he won't be able to have in AEW because most of their wrestlers want to do goofy backyard bullshit. People are already saying, oh, I'd love to see him wrestle Darby Allin. Why? I don't want to see Daniel Bryan wrist in a ridiculously violent environment like that. You know, it's got nothing to do with me hating AEW. It's got everything to do with the wrestler being happy. If Daniel Bryan's happy working in AEW, good for him. Doesn't matter. As long as he's happy, that is always the most important thing. He's got to be happy. He's got to be healthy. And he's also got to know that he's going to work somewhere where his health and safety is going to be respected because he's a father and he's a husband. And he has more to life than just wrestling. I know wrestling is somewhat the be-all and end-all of Daniel Bryan's life and always has been. I mean, you know, to have the injury that he did and still come back speaks volumes about how passionate he is about his business, same as Edge. And I'm glad we got Edge and Daniel Bryan in the ring together before, you know, one of them left, because that would have been a real travesty if we hadn't seen that. And the fact we got to see it at the main event of WrestleMania, very fucking cool. Yeah. By the way, people shitting on WWE for many, many reasons. You know, people are saying, oh, I can't believe they fired the Iconics so they could hire Ava Marie. Ava Marie was signed well before the Iconics were given the boot anyway. But also, haven't they done really well by Daniel Bryan? They put him in the main event at WrestleMania, which he wasn't necessarily that keen on by all accounts, according to him. And his last match was for the Universal title against the biggest drawing wrestler in the entire company, the guy that they deemed to be their biggest face. You know, the face of the company, so to speak. So, you know, for all the people who are shitting on WWE, you've got to, you know, if you're going to shit on them for the bad things they do, you've got to also give them praise and credit and love for the way they treated Daniel Bryan on the way out. In fact, if anything, WWE has been incredibly good to Daniel Bryan. You know, a guy that, let's be honest, in retrospect, you would not expect Daniel Bryan to be pushed really in the WWE format. He's not that kind of guy who should have really gotten over. And people are going to say, yeah, it's only because we pushed for it in the Yes Move and all that. Please, it's all booked that way. You know, we're just made to believe it. But yeah, I think Daniel Bryan was really well looked after in WWE and was given a magnificent run. And he was made champion when some people might argue, particularly traditionalists, that a guy like him maybe shouldn't be on top. And that was the whole idea of the storyline. We wanted him personally on top, but, you know, the system in WWE has never really afforded a guy like Daniel Bryan the opportunity to be the guy. And they afforded him the opportunity to do that a multitude of times, which I think is very cool. So, yeah, I don't really mind where Daniel Bryan drops, as long as he's happy. I don't want him in AEW right now, simply because they haven't got their shit together yet. And if they ain't got their shit together, it's not going to get better by bringing in yet another big star. That's not how you fix things. Correct what is in front of you first. Then, when you bring other people in, like a Daniel Bryan, they've already got the platform to work their magic.
What a lot of people that are going to be pushing for Bryan to go to AEW, you have to realize they've already picked up like 3 or 4 WWE, you know, quote unquote cast-offs. You know, Paul White moved over. I mean, good for him. Hopefully he's happy doing what he wants to do.
Easy
Christian
paycheck.
Cage. Yeah, Christian Cage is
Cage
wrestling.
is a good pickup, to be fair.
Yeah,
like I
absolutely
credit to AEW. I think that's an excellent pickup. I do. I think that's a really good pickup. You know, it may just be by, you know, just by proxy of the fact that they wanted him anyway because he was out there for good money. But at the same time, he's somebody who actually can benefit your locker room. He's a locker room leader. He's a great guy. He was Daniel Bryan before Daniel Bryan in a lot of ways. He was a guy who could, you know, get world-class matches out of people all the time, and has always been really undervalued and underrated and understated in every sense, Christian. So, but like you say, there's been a lot of WWE cast-offs, and I know people are going to say, yeah, well, this is different because it's Daniel Bryan. It is to a certain extent, but it's still an ex-WWE guy. And you can keep bringing him in, and people are saying, oh, bring Andrade in, bring this guy in, blah, 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 blah. It's like, how many, though? You know, it's funny. WWE doesn't want to make any new stars. AEW trying to make too many. Sometimes some guys just have to be jobbers. Sometimes guys have to be enhancement talents. And sometimes that's where they fucking belong. Not everybody, you know, this is my problem with AEW. It feels like it's a participation event more so than a credibility event, where a lot of these wrestlers who are good workers shouldn't be anywhere near the main event. No. Why in fuck's name is 10 from, you know, the Dark Order main event in Dynamite? Like, he's a good worker. I really like Alan Angels. I really liked the gimmick before he got the mask. In fact, he was a lot better before he had that stupid mask on. And I know people are going to say Brody Lee and all that stuff. And yeah, it's lovely that he paid tribute to him. But at the same time, shouldn't be in the main event. Ethan Page, with all due respect, for my money, shouldn't be in the main event. Scorpio Sky, you know, these guys can be in the main event, but you've got to build them up. You don't just throw them straight in. And that's kind of what they've done. You know, Ethan Page has been here for a cup of coffee and he's already fucking having it out with Darby Allin and Sting. And you think, okay, that's all very well and good. But if he doesn't win, where does he go from there? They're making this mistake over and over. They bring guys in, they look red hot, they throw them straight in at the deep end, and then they've got nowhere to go but backwards. And that, tends to lose its luster with fans overall.
Yeah, biggest example of that I can think of is Lance Archer.
Well,
Like-
yeah, Lance, what the fuck? Lance Archer has done nothing. He got to the main event, didn't he? And we all thought he was going to be the TNT champion. We thought he was going to do Cody. He lost to Cody. What has he done since? Nothing. Literally nothing. What was that, a year ago? Maybe even more. So, holy shit.
Give or take, yeah.
Yeah, he's done nothing. Literally nothing. Other than on the odd occasion, he interrupts a Sting interview. This is one of the best and most versatile big men in the modern era of wrestling, and he's just swanning around, probably in catering and all that. So this is what fucks me off when AEW fans are like, yeah, well, we're clearly better and blah, blah, blah. It's like, dude, you can't even book Lance Archer properly. Behave. There's plenty there, and there's plenty to be very excited and positive about. However, you don't get anywhere without constructive criticisms. And like I've always said to people on this YouTube channel and on this podcast, every single point I've made about AEW, and I've said to people, instead of just throwing me hate or calling me a fat cunt in my inbox or blah, 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 because let's be honest, that ain't going to faze me. Argue with me, debate with me properly why you think I'm incorrect in the things I've said. And yet, I have yet to have anyone argue that point with me correctly. But you get these amazing people, like Choked Gaming, who comments underneath our videos. Fantastic. Lee Meeks as well, and Paolo Lamchop. These guys are genuinely offering a different take and a unique take, and they're speaking to us with respect like adults, because that's what it should be about, not acting like fucking children, which is what a lot of the AEW fan base are doing. And yes, they have those fans in WWE too, everywhere. Even Impact probably has some toxic fans. What few are left, bless them. But it's one of those things where I just want Daniel Bryan to go somewhere where he's happy, but also I want to know that wherever Daniel Bryan is, I feel like his potential is going to be maximized. And you cannot tell me right now that if Daniel Bryan goes to AEW that he's going to have his potential maximized. Because if he comes in, he's got to win the title. He's got to. Like this, I'm sorry, but you either bring him in at the bottom end and have him work up, which is what Christian's doing. See, Christian, very smart, came in and said, I'm going to be the workhorse. Start putting me in the ring with smaller guys like Will Hobbs, things like that. I can help get them over, work my way towards possibly meeting Kenny Omega later down the line. Awesome, not a problem. But if you go the other route and he comes in, goes straight in against Kenny Omega and then loses, the only way is down. Down, down, down. It's... places like Ring of Honor, New Japan, Impact, they're the places to land first.
I mean, I'd love to see him even in like the light heavyweight division in New Japan. I would love to see him. Give me him and Takahashi. Do you know how much fun I'd have watching that?
Yeah, Daniel Bryan in the next Best of Super Juniors would be so sick.
Has he ever been in one?
Not that I'm aware of, no. Daniel Bryan, as far as I'm aware, has not done a great deal of New Japan work at all. And that in itself is quite astonishing. But he truly was like a proper, Ring of Honor loyalist as well. He was a guy who really, grafted on the North American circuit for so long before he got the call up to WWE. So, and that was what, 2010, that kind of region. So it's cool because he's been able to carve out a truly excellent legacy everywhere. Not just, it wasn't like he was in WWE for a cup of coffee. Yeah, he had that big break, obviously, in the middle. What was it, 2 or 3 years with the injuries and everything? But he still had a good 6 or 7 years where he was a very prominent, regular wrestler on the card. And for a lot of that, he was always in prominent positions. Even when he was like fucking around with Kane, that was still the best stuff on the program. That was still carrying the show. It carried Raw for a long time when Raw sucked. And Raw really sucks now. It really, really fucking sucks for anyone who watched it this way. It's so fucking boring. Wrestling's fine, but the booking is horrible. Hey, AEW gets shit for booking, but my God, it's streets ahead of Raw. I'll give you that much. Wow, that show is bad. But yeah, no, good for Daniel Bryan. He's a guy who's sensible enough, and let's be honest, wherever he lands, he's going to make everybody else around him better. I tell you what, there's a lot of wrestlers in AEW who could do with a Daniel Bryan slapping backstage to get them in order. Absolutely. Right. Yeah. I'd love to see him just walk in and go, your shit, your shit, your shit. Start fucking drop kicking everyone in the face in the locker room. Just fucking get them in order. Just say, right, there's a lot of potential in here, but a lot of you are a bunch of slack-jawed outlaw fucking goofs. We're going to cut that shit out and you're going to fucking work properly because I want everyone here to look like a fucking god. The one thing I can trust with Daniel Bryan is it doesn't matter where he goes. He's not going to get lazy. He's not going to get lackadaisical. He's not going to get lethargic. He is going to get involved and he is going to expect the best from everyone around him and himself. So he's going to be an amazing addition wherever he goes. And even if he chooses not to, what an amazing career he's had. He's done pretty much everything. He's been WWE champion. He's been Universal champion. He's been, Ring of Honor world champion. He's toured the world. He's done pretty much everything. He's wrestled pretty much all the greatest wrestlers in the world as well in that time. I mean proper great wrestlers as well, not people who cosplay as Elton John claiming to be world-class wrestlers. I'm talking about guys like Masawa and Kenta Kobashi, that kind of level of wrestler, the true world-class workhorse wrestlers. A little bit gutted he's not going to NXT to face Pete Dunne. I was hoping that he was going to do that on the way out. So yeah, if WWE is smart, they might give him a casual contract where they say, "Would you mind doing a quick run in NXT? Maybe coming over to Raw, fulfilling a few matches, or even go to NXT UK. Who wouldn't want to see him wrestle Trent Seven maybe on the way out? Something of that nature. I feel like him and Trent Seven would have a great match. They seem perfectly fit for each other in that regard, and they'd have a lot of fun doing it as well. Also, why not have Daniel Bryan challenge Walter on the way out?
I was just going to say, oh my God. I don't think D. Bryan would make it, honestly.
No, Walter would make it his personal mission to end his career right there. No, Walter, but because he is all about the sport. But you want to talk about two purists of the game. Look no further than Walter and Daniel Bryan. Probably
so, Daniel Bryan and Imperium. Sorry, what? Daniel Bryan and Imperium?
I don't think my jizz tank can contain itself over that. That'd just be unnecessary. Or if he reformed Undisputed Era and became like, Adam Cole's role as the leader, and Adam Cole was left out in the cold. Imagine Daniel Bryan, Bobby Fish, Kyle O'Reilly, and Roderick Strong. Oh my days.
The American Dragon and Red Dragon. Let's go.
See, that's how good Daniel Bryan is. You could just throw him into anything, and it'll be world class, and people will watch. So, yeah. Any final thoughts, mate, on Daniel Bryan? Where you'd like to see him drop? Anything like that?
My biggest fear is that if he does end up going somewhere outside WWE, that they need to strike while the iron's hot, because he is just so hot right now, for lack of a better word. Because you think about when Bret Hart left after the screw job, and what did WCW do? They put him in as a special enforcer or whatever at Starrcade '97, and that's not what you do with a guy that just got screwed out of the WWF title. You put him in there, with an axe to grind to go, hey, I got fucked up north. I'm gonna take it out on all you guys down here.
Yeah.
So wherever D. Bryan goes, assuming he goes anywhere, of course, I want it to be impactful. I want it to be meaningful, and overall, I just want him to be happy.
Yeah, not much else to add, to be honest. It'll be very interesting to see how long it takes before he arrives somewhere else, because normally WWE has a 90-day no compete clause, but at the same time, his contract expired, so I don't know if that will count for that, because normally it's on release contracts. I'm not entirely sure. Sometimes they write it in, sometimes they don't. So, but yeah, either way, there's a potential for a massive debut here, something quite exciting. So yeah, should be quite fun, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to see what Daniel Bryan's future holds. If this is it, he had an incredible career, and he'll have no regrets.
Oh, if I know Daniel Bryan is still be wrestling in a wheelchair, he strikes me as the kind of guy who will never leave, which I hope for his sake that he does eventually. Either way, I know that he certainly won't be working full-time again on that kind of WWE schedule. He's pretty much made that clear as well on the way out, that it's not something he's like, and there is nothing more torturous and more, it's like the great marathon of wrestling is being able to work that schedule. Not many guys can do it anymore. And it will only get worse once we come out of the pandemic and they start doing house shows again, which apparently WWE are already priming themselves to do so. So, yeah, I think it's just a matter of time now. We're kind of barreling towards the idea of these things. But we'll leave it at that. Carl Wilkinson, thank you very much for joining me, as always. A nice little natter about Daniel Bryan and what he'll be doing going forward. If you like this little impromptu video, ladies and gentlemen, if you want some more random comments and random content from us where we're just talking about the wrestling news, let us know. Obviously, we normally have the State of Wrestling address, which we record. But yeah, we thought this was probably worthy of just a little chat by itself. Don't forget to check out some of our other content. I know for a fact that the Emeritus interview has just dropped, OVW certified trainer and one of the lead guys in charge of helping Body Slam Wrestling get off the ground in Denmark, in Scandinavia, really helping to push the scene out there, which is really awesome. They got a working relationship with WXW in Germany and Sweden as well, a couple of other places. So really great interview. If you're a proper proper encyclopedic kind of guy when it comes to wrestling, if you're a proper historian, this is a fantastic interview that gives you an idea about the real insides and the real passion of what it takes to run a company and the passion needed to make it succeed in a market that frankly doesn't really know that much about professional wrestling. So check that out. That's episode 515 of the Wrestle Plug. And don't forget, if you want to listen to it via an audio because you're on the go and you haven't got time to watch our ugly mugs, no problem. Just search Wrestle Plug and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. I've been Aaron X, he's been Carl Wilkinson, and we'll catch you very soon for more content from the Wrestle Plug.